Hello everyone, I'm Vincent. First of all, could anyone recognize the song that I've just played on the piano? If so, what's the song's name? That's correct. As clear as it is, the way I played the song Happy New Year is not normal. It didn't sound pop-ish like you would expect. Why did I play it in that way? This is the basis of my personal project. For my personal project, my goal is to spread the awareness of classical and romantic era of music in the modern world. And thus my global context is personal and cultural expression. I believe that my global context represents the connection between the two forms of music, the pop and the classical. Like any other teenagers, I listen to pop and rock music, but I also play the piano. Many teenagers, and possibly many adults, would say that they prefer to listen to pop and rock music over the classical music. The motivation behind my project then is to encourage more teenagers to take up classical music lessons and become as passionate as I am about classical music, or specifically classical piano. When I was planning my personal project, I knew that my message would need to appeal to the teenagers in such a platform that would be acceptable to them. Now what I meant by that, so I take a pop song and I arrange it into the four styles of four important pioneers in the field of classical piano performance. These four pianists spans the entire classical era, from Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and Ludwig van Beethoven to, in the romantic styles, we have Frédéric Chopin and Sergei Rachmaninoff. In order to demonstrate these musical styles, I took the following steps. First, I researched why teenagers didn't like classical music by conducting surveys and also reading pre-existing blog posts. Second, I researched the individual musical styles of these four pianists by listening to their works and reading blog posts that talk about their styles written by musicians, and also having fun trying to imitate the way how they play. And third, I designed the layout of my four new arrangements by designing a structure that we will follow, and also composing additional melodies that will go into the four arrangements. And finally, I recorded my performance of them and upload them on YouTube. There are a few challenges in which I faced throughout the completion of my project. The first challenge is that I changed my goal in just of December of last year, which left me less time to work. My initial product was just to take as many pop songs as I can and play them in the classical styles, and all of them on YouTube, measuring my success by views and subscriber counts. However, I recognize that this goal is very broad, and I found out that piano channels, they don't normally get a lot of views, and they find it very, very hard to get subscribers. And so I changed my goal into a more specific one and refined my product since then. The second challenge in which I faced is my technical ability. I didn't quite get serious in classical piano until the very start of grade 10. So, which meant I have to practice more in order to improve my skills. That would be necessary for me to experiment with classical styles and finally compose in them. The big takeaway from my personal project is that when I passionately put my mind into something, I was able to effectively manage time. I have learned that it takes a few failed attempts in order to gain an awareness of what order things should be completed to achieve the best outcome. I'm happy to say that completing a personal project has helped me to develop my skills of creativity but also it helped me to acquire skills and confidence in composition, which will help me a lot next year. I encourage all grade 9 students to complete a project in which they're equally passionate about next year. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the 2018 Grade 10 Personal Project Fair. Congratulations, Vincent, on that amazing piano recital and presentation. I'm Maria Henriksen, and it is my artwork on the invitations for this evening.
My name is Felipe, and this evening, my classmates and I will be showcasing our personal projects in the Innovation Center and the adjoining corridors.
Before we invite you to enjoy the exhibition, we have 3 more classmates coming on this stage to share with you their successes, challenges, and adventures that they have faced throughout the personal project journey.
The MYP personal project is not just about a product or an outcome. It also requires us to deeply engage with the ATL skills of communication, research, social collaboration, self-management, and thinking.
All of us exhibiting our work today have followed a cycle of inquiry. We began by investigating an area of personal interest. We then planned on how to work towards achieving our long-term goal, and we took action by creating a product or an outcome. We reflected on our learning journey through keeping a process journal and writing a final report.
Supporting us in completing our personal project have been our teacher supervisors. On behalf of all grade 10 students, we would like to thank them for their great effort and their support.
Now we'd like to invite Din Han Trong, or BB as he's known to most of us, on the stage to present his personal project about technical innovation. Thank you.
Good evening, parents, teachers, and fellow students. My name is Bibi, and the goal for my personal project was to create a cross-platform online website that assists secondary students with their time management and educates them about the benefits of effective time management. I chose this goal because I personally struggled with effectively managing my time in the early years of the MYP. In short, I put the pro in procrastination. I chose to create a website because website development is a personal interest of mine. The topic sparks my interest because the design possibilities are endless, and I'm able to craft my website to my liking. It is also highly gratifying to see the progression of ideas and concepts from paper to screen, and to be able to interact with my own digital creations. I wanted to craft a product that had the potential to benefit students across the globe while allowing me to creatively express myself through a topic that I was passionate about, making website design the optimal choice. The global context that I selected was scientific and technical innovation because I wanted to change the way that people view websites as simply being static pages for text and other forms of media. By creating a series of dynamic web applications, I aimed to demonstrate that websites can be functional and genuinely useful in our daily lives. Unlike a mobile phone application, I wanted my web application to not require users to have to download it in order to use it. As a result, my goal strived to take members of the school community away from an offline environment towards an interconnected online environment. I started by brainstorming and listing out the potential functionalities that would best reflect my goal. I then built a sitemap, as you can see here, to structure these ideas and create a yardstick that I could come back to track my progress. One of the main components of my goal was to create a cross-platform website, or in other words, a website that was capable of adapting to a variety of screen sizes, ranging from smartphones all the way to desktop computers. Since I built the websites from the ground up without the use of pre-made website builders, each minute detail, whether it be positioning, color, animations, or even font sizing, had to be considered for each and every device type. This proved to be highly challenging due to the difficulty in digitally recreating these design ideas through static code. Once I hosted a draft version of my website, I discovered that the layouts were displayed completely incorrectly on the actual devices compared to the simulations, as you can see here on the left side. To overcome this issue, I had to break down the code line by line to find the culprits, which took several weeks. I also faced a myriad of issues when developing the functionality of my websites. Since I envisioned it to be cross-platform, user information must have been accessible on all devices in some shape or form. I realized that I would need to learn a completely new programming language. After this realization, I set out to learn PHP, a web development language that was essential for me to add the desired functionalities. But even then, the knowledge that I gained from simply learning PHP wasn't enough for me to advance my product, and I struggled to determine how it could be applied to my situation. The personal project has been an opportunity for me to indulge in a topic that intrigued me. For me, the personal project has not only been a culmination of my learning across the MYP, it has also been a significant point in my lifelong journey as a learner. I now appreciate the importance of constantly challenging myself and see how, if I set my mind to it, no challenge is too great. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Min, and the goal for my personal project is to help regenerate the Center for Research and Education for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, located in Phu Nhung District. After working voluntarily as a teacher at the center over the summer break of grade 9, I discovered that the hearing impaired children were disengaged from their local community. As we're living in the 21st century, I acknowledge the importance of involving everyone, even the disadvantaged, and wanted to provide opportunities for the hearing impaired children to be able to attend mainstream school. I developed my goal and then introduced my intentions to my grade 10 peers at ISHCMC. Collectively, we established a team of volunteers and went to the center in Phu Nhung District. This is why I have developed my goals, and actually it consists of 3 interactive events. The first event was the Lunar Festival, where we came together and that involved active singing and dancing. The second event celebrated Vietnamese Women's Day, when we came together and made cards of appreciation to the significant women in our lives. Ultimately, these first 2 events established a foundation for my third and final workshop, which included a series of interactive and dynamic craft stations for the children to showcase their established social skills from the first 2 events. My greatest challenges definitely came when I was preparing my product or workshops. These were time management challenges and communication challenges. Firstly, my time management challenges were not due to my own procrastination, but rather my inexperience in knowing all the paperwork required to arrange transport to and from the center, as well as gaining consent from parents and teachers for classmates to attend my workshops. Secondly, My challenges also came when CED took up to 10 days to respond to my messages. This significantly slowed down my process of organizing the workshops, and I quickly learned that forward planning was the way to get ahead. I also learned a great deal about myself through the journey. There were times I felt as if the goals I set for myself were too challenging. I wanted to give up. Yet there were times that I felt the hearing impaired children were the motivation for me. Recalling the heart-wrenching stories that they told me of isolation, how they wished they could communicate better in order to attend mainstream school, even if they're hearing impaired. And this really kept me going to achieve my goals. And I believe I have accomplished my goals because the hearing impaired children were a lot more socially engaged in the winter workshop than they were in the first event. I actually never understood the sentiment, "There's more joy in giving than receiving," until I had completed my personal project. I hope to continue to maintain my relationship and further strengthening it by opening up a CAS group soon. And I hope that many of you in the audience could join me next year. Thank you.
Dear guests, teachers, and friends, today I stand before you, not because I did something special, not because I blew the roof off with my project, but because I was keen on improving the living standards of my own society, the society of Dhaka, Bangladesh. My goal was to design a three-dimensional drainage model that manages wastewater in Bangladesh. Now, why Bangladesh, you may ask? And who even cares about drainage? That is the problem. Government agencies have put in minimal thought into planning drainage systems. To make things worse, policymakers decide to make the lives even more better for the people living in the rich society, whereas people in the rural areas still suffer from something like this. My global context was globalization and sustainability, because I took an initiative that the government hasn't been able to do, which is to apply strategic measures to approach the problem, considering pipeline structure or open spaces are some to name a few. Now, there was one problem. I lived in Vietnam while my project was based on Bangladesh. This created a huge problem for me because primary research was quite troublesome. So I decided to take baby steps by first analyzing different real-time images of drainage around Dhaka City. From them, I prioritized the most susceptible ones to flooding. So, after finding the images, I gathered them, I found out the problems, but I wanted to assure that the problems were quite relevant. So, I conducted a Skype interview with a man named Riyasat Kadir, a design engineer based in Wall Street, New York. He told me to attach a separate storage system for water to seep in. So I took that advice into heart. After some time, I took a Google survey for my friends and families in Bangladesh to answer through Facebook. So I only received 23 responses of my friends and family. Quite a small number, but very insightful knowledge. At this point, I just didn't want to do any more research. I was tired. I wanted to get out and do my project using Google SketchUp. I worked, and I got till this much. Now, seems quite distorted, right? Exactly. That was my problem. I wanted to give up at this point because I thought the project wasn't worth it. I overestimated my abilities and finally got till this. But the one thing that kept me going was the endless support from my parents. They didn't give up on me, so I didn't give up on my project. I backpedaled a bit. I tried to figure out where I went wrong. The thing is, I took a dimension of work that I wasn't able to do as an individual. It was impossible. So I cut down my work by more than half. It was very disappointing because I didn't feel like I was achieving the thing I wanted to achieve. I was underestimating myself. But this gave me scope to be more creative. Finally, I worked faster than ever and got to this. As I progressed, I wanted to create a physical model of this. The most enjoyable part was working with a group of like-minded individuals who know nothing but Vietnamese. They all knew English. They all knew Vietnamese. But I knew English. We didn't know how to speak, we didn't know how to communicate, so my proficiency in sign language became very prominent. I found out that I was able to appreciate my surroundings more after doing this project. And not only so, I empowered others to do so. I encouraged the candidates in the future to actually appreciate their surroundings and indulge themselves in this gift of project that they're given. Thank you very much.
Can I please invite our spectacular student speakers back to the stage? Thank you for sharing those 4 very different personal project experiences with us this evening. Judging from the passion and the vigor of those presentations, it seems clear that despite any challenges encountered, your personal project experience was quite possibly one of the highlights of your MYP learning experience. Would you agree?
Yes.
I told them to say that. Please join me in congratulating our MYP class of 2018 student speakers.